Do you remember how old you are?
Yeah,
How old? 88.
73,
88.
88.
Yeah, you do very well. My father made out an application in a 50s Plus magazine because he wanted some companionship. His lady friend who he had lived with for 20-some years passed away. He just wanted somebody to go to movies with. She answered it, and she seemed nice enough. She told about herself. He said he'd like to meet her, and he did, and everything seemed very nice in the beginning. But then she, slowly but surely, she wouldn't let me or my brothers or any of his friends see him. This woman had my name taken off of all my father's phone numbers as far as if my dad was in the hospital or if my dad went to a doctor. She had total control. It was probably a really good 2 years that I didn't have any contact with my dad. I feel she was just waiting around for him to die. I would have to find out through friends if they had seen my dad. It was the only way I could tell if he was okay.
Martin used to be a crossing guard. He started to join us at our breakfast club, and him and his lady friend used to come and join us. That's where we really got to know him. He has a tattoo on his arm. I asked him what the tattoo was, and he told me that he had been in Auschwitz. We just started doing a lot of things together. He's always been just a very sweet person. But suspicious things were coming up in things she was saying. She would not even let us know that he was in the hospital until after he already came out of the hospital. So we weren't visiting him either.
I didn't know how to get in contact with him because she wouldn't let me talk to him. So I figured the only way I could do it was to call the Milwaukee Department of Aging to see what they could do for me, if they could check on him.
The Department of Aging received a referral stating that they had concerns for Mr. Alexander, and I went out there and found the apartment to be quite cluttered, had some concerns, but at that point Mr. Alexander was still pretty alert and orientated, and I felt was decisional at the time.
My dad had been walking up and down in the apartment building and had put a note under a door, my phone number under somebody's door, and said that they needed to call Martin Alexander's daughter and that he needed to get out of here. So I called the police department, and I had told them that I need to check on the welfare of my father.
Myself and another officer responded to the apartment complex. After knocking at the apartment door for several minutes, we needed an apartment manager to bring a key to unlock the deadbolt, and we had to force the door open, which was being held shut by a safety chain. The apartment was very cluttered. One of the bedrooms was completely full with clothing. There was a very foul odor in the kitchen, as well as dirty dishes and other cleanliness issues in the apartment as well. The living room shows a large pile of clothing right near where Martin's chair was located, where he spent the majority of his time. And he spent the better part of his days, and often a lot of the nights, sleeping in the same chair in the living room watching a small television set. There were also hypodermic needles laying around. Martin's medicine was in a state of disarray. So again, the totality of the condition of the apartment, as well as Martin's medical problems, raised a great level of concern for ourselves as well as the family members in the Department on Aging in this case.
I knew already the situation because I had been there before. And this time I was not real pleased with what I saw. I saw a decline in Mr. Alexander, and this time I really knew I had a situation where I had to get Mr. Alexander out of there because I knew it wasn't a safe situation for you. So it worked out because the fact that when I was trying to interview him and try to get a sense of where things were at with him this time, she was right there, and she was sort of, feeding into it, and I said no. And so the police, very professional about it, And they got her in the other room, and I was able to talk to him because what I wanted to establish was the fact that his daughter was very concerned with his well-being.
My dad wound up in the hospital. She wouldn't go get him. She wouldn't come to the hospital and get him, and he remembered my phone number. So he called me up and he said, nobody wants me. I was coming to get him to take him to the cardiologist. They told me to take him right down the emergency room. And they had told me that if I hadn't gotten my dad there then, he probably wouldn't be here today. The cardiologist told me that he missed 8 doctor appointments. I guess I wish the cardiologist would have called me and told me that my father wasn't making his doctor appointments. Then I could have done something about it. Social workers from St. Luke's came and talked to me, and they said, your dad can't go home. So, I mean, he went right from the hospital there to here. Now I know he gets his medicine, he's getting all the food he needs, he's just being taken care of, and I can see him. The grandchildren can see him, the great-grandchildren can see him, and everybody that was taken out of his life are back in his life. Love you.
Love you too.